seeing that style, and that is the bell. We're going to be getting into it in just a second, Milana.
Yes, and let us take a look real quick at these comps. A lot of these things that we have kind of called out, but something a little bit more surprising, we see that Dynamo Roller coming out as well.
Lots of surprising things here. We have the Crab Tank Dreadringer and Ren not picking the pencil nor a leader, but the Bamboo, which was listed, but knowing that they're going up against another pen, we now have a deficit of range, and we'll see if that ends up working for them.
Yes, we certainly will. And that Gluga Dualies, I think that is generally a pretty uncommon pick overall. What do you think about that?
Gluga Dualies are so difficult to use. They're a pretty committal weapon, but this wipeout happening right off the top from Reload, and that really quick checkpoint you were talking about is going to happen for them.
Yeah, and that quick checkpoint is still there. A lot of the members of Reload still kind of vying for a position to be able to kind of push this forward. And, you know, getting a nice pick, that member on Reload. They are in a good position to kind of move this forward. 3 down on the side of Land Destroyers, giving an opportunity for Reload to get these quick points right here. The Reslider coming out, not quite able to get a pick here, but still able to move that Rainmaker to a nice 9 points.
Now Ren is down, but the rest of Land Destroyers are up. They're going to have to figure out how to get this Rainmaker out. No doubt someone's going to want to maybe take that and run it off, but not if you can't get the enemies out of your spawn. Ren does end up with a trade. They have their own Rainmaker. They toss it off the other side, so that is going to force at least one member of Reload to go back into mid, repop the Rainmaker, and see if they can take back the ground and get that last check.
Yeah, they're going to have to need that, but you know, we see a lot of purple on this map that, you know, Reload is really working hard to keep Land Destroyers out from the middle of this stage, and Timmy grabbing that Rainmaker, hoping to maybe get a couple more points on the board, but a push to 9 already really strong, Sasu.
They are moving at breakneck speed, and seeing as though Land Destroyers are running generally very slow weapons in that Gluga, the Dynamo, and that Dreadringer, I think it's tough on them. Timmy is the last person up in this corner. They don't have anyone working with them. They're trying to hide from that crab. Finally, the Glugas drop and take care of them, but look at this. Land Destroyers so far haven't been able to get a point on the board.
and getting the unsuspecting member of Land Destroyers right there, sandwiched with that Carbon Roller, moving at a breakneck pace. They are really using the speed and the ability of that Carbon Roller to kind of do a lot of sharking here, and that's going to be beneficial for Reload as Land Destroyers is still trying to make it back to the center of this stage.
It's feeling like Land Destroyers are really in damage control mode as none of them can really move forward. Ren kind of overextends a little bit there, gets caught by Mist, and all the while the Glugas are trying to get behind them so that they can finally get them out of their own spawn. A Booyah Bomb there is going to be popped, but really importantly, we have a pick in mid, a double pick, so the flow aura rather is going to be activated, and finally we have our first push from Land Destroyers.
They do. Dynamo unfortunately going down, and Land Destroyers losing the Rainmaker before they make it to that first checkpoint. That is going to be the first step that they need, but we see here the member of Reload grabbing a nice double on Land Destroyers and really putting Land Destroyers back on their back feet once again.
I'm feeling now, I'm understanding why they listed 52 as a skirmisher. They are just running all over the place, seeing what they can get rather than being the person who kind of initiates that push. Now that wall is up, but that has kind of walled them into this corner. The Carbon tries to pick up that pick, they get it, and Jay is just in that grab trying to keep everybody off. We are coming up on a minute left, and Land Destroyers are going to have to hustle if they want to take this game.
They really do, and I really like what Reload is doing with this Rainmaker. They're not really anticipating on making any meaningful pushes at this point with just a minute left. They reset the Rainmaker. They held it a little bit too long, but really what they are trying to do is they're trying to time down that clock so that they are able to hold on to that lead. Really, it is Land Destroyers' responsibility. They're you know, what they're trying to do is they're going to be the one to try to make that push happen.
Yes, that is their goal. You can see them there in the corner, locked in. 3 members down there for Reload, so this is a really big opportunity for Land Destroyers, especially look at that. Saisabi really far forward, trying to get the space, and that is huge because they get that checkpoint, and that means that the world is theirs as long as they're able to run it.
Yes, but you know that first they're going to have to dodge that Reef Slider with only about 10 seconds left, 2 down on Land Destroyers, and with Reload holding on to that Rainmaker, it's not looking really good for them.
Yeah, they are choosing to have it in this difficult spot on right. They did drop, but that is going to be time. Reload really dominant for the majority of that game.
Yeah, and remember, there was a couple of DQs in the beginning of this, which means that Reload is going to have that reverse sweep in order to come out victorious from this redemption set. So really, that is them starting off on a great foot to begin with as in this tournament.
I honestly can't decide whether they looked like they were playing like they have to reverse sweep or not. You would think a team, I say this because I think going into this, knowing you're down 0-2, you might think, oh, we have to be a little bit careful because if we slip up, if we wipe and the other team just like takes, you know, a monster push, then we have no space to really adjust to them. We have to win absolutely everything. But their level of aggression, especially off the top, was practically unmatched. They really collapsed upon Land Destroyers like a wave of purple ink.
Yes.
And the confidence that they had, you know, I'm like, maybe they're like, we have to be aggressive to take this. Or, you know, that's why I'm like, I can't decide if they're like, oh, our backs are across the wall, or if they're like, nah, we got this.
You know, but now they have the momentum as they're going into this technically 4th game in the set as we're entering Barnacle and Dime Clam Blitz, which I think is a really interesting. I actually really like this stage and mode combination. I think because it's like got that like weird pit area where that Clams basket is, I think there's a lot of different strategies that teams can kind of use in order to move forward and get to that objective.
I agree. I have a lot of love for this stage and mode. I think that Barnacle and Dime can be so difficult on other modes because of how large it is. But when it comes to Clams, there's just more space for you to take those fights. It's easier to stop the other team, and I think it really comes down to strategy. So Ren going to forsake that bamboo. I think losing out on that range didn't necessarily work for them as well. So instead, they are going to be pushing the Dynamo onto the Golden Dynamo with Chunks.
Yeah, I think the Super Chumps is a really interesting pick for specifically this stage just because it gives a lot of room to move. So as you launch those Chumps out, it's going to have to force maybe that Snipe Rider player on the other team to be able to move back. And I think it could allow for Land Destroyers to build enough space to be able to make a meaningful push happen, Sasu.
Yes, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there is also a vanilla slosher as well. So they're going to have those strikes available to push with if they need. But Sandwich still on that carbon, has a lot of speed, pops that Zuka, doesn't quite get anyone standing on their own plat, but survives the Booyah Bomb. So the strikes come out, and right now there's just a lot of scuffling in mid.
Yeah, and remember, this is what we expect to see in a typical Clam Blitz match, just a lot of trying to figure out your Clams economy. We do have that Power Clam going in immediately from Reload, one singular Clam following up with that, but they're going to need a little bit more to be able to make this push a little bit more meaningful. 3 more coming out from Gold here, but they are still in a good position to push, but they're going to have to move back a little bit just to find a couple more Clams, but a push to 68, not too bad.
It is one of the things about Barnacle and Dime is that because it's so huge, a lot of the time you have this dominant hold, but because the clams spawning in are so sparse and so far away, you just have to retreat to figure out your clam economy. So I feel like this is what happened to Reload. They're able to get 3 members down, Ren the only person up, and they are back right where they were, walling on that top left and making yet another push.
I think it's just so interesting, this positioning right here. Timmy with the 7 clams, just gonna need 1 more to make that power clam, but not really quite finding that 1 clam. But a power clam coming up as reinforcement from behind. They are still in a good position to be able to make this push happen as we see this overhead cam kind of moving up. And now with 2 down from Reload, this is going to be Land Destroyer's opportunity to move at least back into the center of the stage.
Oh, I would hate to be Timmy. That is why they jumped out. It is so difficult. They had their special 7 clams. They do not want to go down there, so they just jump back and let that power clam expires. So they are moved into their own sort of spawn there. I think Land Destroyers for the first time seemed like they had a stronghold, but two of their members going down make that three is going to make it so that they are now once again on the back foot here, halfway through the match.
And now Timmy ready with a power clam and just a couple more clams under the belt. Now 24 clams. They pop that clams basket. Tacticoolers coming out, Reef Slider on the ready. This is going to be a great opportunity. Unfortunately, getting stopped by that pillow right here, Timmy. It's okay, it happens to the best of us, but the clams are still pouring into the basket. Now the score all the way down to 10. They're going to just need 4 more clams to be able to take this knockout with just 7 points on the board. I don't know if they have enough clams to be able to make this knockout happen, Sasu.
No, they do go down. That has got to hurt. I know if I'm on comms, I'm like, somebody please jump in so we can end the game. But if they want to do that, it's going to have to come the old-fashioned way. Sandwich going down in a trade there. 2 down on either side. But what is more important is that Reload has good presence in mid. It seems like Land Destroyers is backed up. They're building up their clan economy. They're just about even right now, but they've yet to score in the opposing basket. So with 1 minute essentially remaining, they're going to have a monster of a push to take this game.
They certainly will, Sasu. But you know, we see certainly still a lot of this blue-purple color. Blurple? Is that the official name?
I believe
Nintendo
so.
Blurple color. We have it here, and you know they're going to have to make this push happen. Ren, unfortunately, getting forced to jump out, and 2 power clams at the ready from Reload. They are going to launch both of them into the basket, and just those last 2 clams getting that knockout. You know, like you said earlier, Sasu, it's almost like Reload was like, you know, we just need 3 games in a row. Let's just do it.
I guess so. They are locked in because not only did they take that game, they took it 100-0. They denied Land Destroyers from ever scoring on them. So Reload, they are the 6th seed for a reason. They've dropped down to Redemption and didn't quite go forward, but you can see that they're really fighting their way into top cut.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly showing that they can earn their spot in that top cut right here. As we enter our game 5, technically, technically our game 3, but the game 5 of this Redemption bracket set. Scorch Gorge on Splat Zones. What we thinking, Sasu?
Better them than me, Milan. Scorch Gorge Splat Zones, of course, has that massive center stack. Super difficult when you're going up a charger who has control of that stack. Breaking into mid can be hard, and also it's just a really large zone with something obstructing the middle, so painting over it is going to be hard. Sometimes you get the picks you need, but you're just not able to flip it in time. So they're going to have to watch where they're standing, especially going up against someone who has a Reef Slider in Timmy, because when you have this huge blind spot from that center stack, suddenly you hear the Reef Slider, you don't know where it's coming from, and then you and your buddy go down.
It's coming from above, and we all know that gamers never look up. So
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So you know, I think Land Destroyers is really going to have to keep an eye on that Reef Slider. That Reef Slider is going to be a key player, I think, for Reload here. So you know, I think what they really just have to kind of focus on is the size of the zone, right? We have to have enough turfing power to even make it so that you can control that zone. And I want to say that Reload has a comp that's kind of built a little bit more towards being able to turf better. So I think Land Destroyers is going to have to kind of work around that somehow.
Yeah, and as we've seen, it seems as though they're at a bit of a speed deficit. Like, Reload is running them down, taking advantage of the fact that they're running Gluga and Dynamo, but instead, I think we have a... No, I thought we had a switch, but we are sticking with that golden Dynamo, and everything else is the same. So Land Destroyers really betting on making it work this time.
Yes, and as we are getting into this game, all the members of both teams really trying to fight it out in the center of the stage. And remember, like I said, Sasu, this zone is really large, and it took a whole 30 seconds for either team to be able to cover enough of this zone to get that control. And as we see here, the Chumps coming out, this is going to force Gold a little bit farther back, Sandwich back into the action. Timmy kind of hiding in this corner and not being able to escape the watchful gaze of that Dynamo Roller Jetpack Cat right here. But you know, this is kind of looking not too bad for Land Destroyers right now.
Yeah, I think this actually may be really helpful for them. Firstly, they have Jetpack Cat under this drop here, so anybody who wants to come in there is going to be met with a big wave of ink. We have these Chumps as well, and the Chumps will be good not just at inking, but of going over that stock and having a lot of area painted. So as much as Reload currently have control of the zone, I think that Land Destroyers may be able to turn this around.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of specials coming out, but remember that Land Destroyers now controlling the zone, really working together to build those specials together. But you know, it really is, it's going to take a lot of splats on Land Destroyer's side to be able to hold onto that zone in a more meaningful way. They do get 8 points on the board, but immediately the control goes back to Reload, and Timmy in a choice position here to be able to keep Land Destroyers from moving back forward. All members really of Reload moving into the base of Land Destroyers, and this is what we like to see in splat zones, Sasu.
Completely agree with that being a choice position. I was thinking, uh-oh, you do not on Scorch Gorge want them crossing over that grate and then being all up in your business. So they quickly evacuated them. They've sent out the strikes and the Booyah Bomb that should help them with the zone, but not enough paint. Timmy not quite getting punished out of that Reef Slider while the time ticks. There is also Chumps. There should be so much paint coming out of Land Destroyers, but they're struggling to get this zone.
They are, and with just 9 seconds remaining on this counter, it's not looking good for Land Destroyers, and this now entering that flow aura state, that was just a really nice way for Reload to finish off this set.
Yes, especially seeing as though they came out of it with a deficit, and with the specials they were going up against. Chumps, Booyah Bomb, strikes, very easily that could have been super tough, but you do see Reload reloading, locking in, and being very sportsmanlike, giving the GGs to their opponents there.
You know,